Hello everyone, welcome back to ANI201. In the last video, we went over how to make this grid background with the gradient transition and windows, masks. Masks, which are essentially windows into previous layers. And we did a little bit of pre-composition work. In this video, what we're going to do is we're going to wind up making the colored bit down the bottom. So this little animation right there of the colored squares bopping across the side of the screen with its printing perfected. So we're just going to do that part. Ignore the rest of it. We're just going to do that part. So let's go back in here, and on this, we'd be on this part of the instructions where we say create the colored boxes. Okay? So if you haven't gotten to this point, please refer to the previous video. If you've already done this part, and you can skim through this, but please continue on to the next video then. So, first things first, I'm going to make myself a new layer. So, Command Y, once I'm clicking on it, make sure, Command Y. There we go. And instead of this, I'm going to make it a 50 by 50. 50 by 50, and I'll make it a different color. So, I don't know, I'll make it red. Why not? I have myself a red solid. Boom. And there we go, I have a red solid. And I can move it around, do whatever I want. Please ignore the fact that the adaptive resolution is going crazy when I go over feathered areas. But basically, I'm going to put it somewhere. Now, where am I going to put it? So if you press the apostrophe key, this little window pops up, this little overlay. I keep clicking it, it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. This is essentially your screen sizes. So if you have a 4x3 television, an old CRT TV, this inner box, boop, 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 is basically your dimensions, what you have to work with. And then you have, wider screen, and you got like super monitor, so on and so forth. Basically, point being is, depending on what it is what you can see. So if you have something over here, someone in widescreen can see that, but someone in a 4x3 can't. Right here, everyone can see it, even if you're in a 4x3. We're not going to really worry too much about the 4x3 aspect ratio, because hardly anyone has a 4x3 monitor anymore, unless if you're really into old school gaming, because there's some old games, that specifically light gun games, that will not work without a CRT TV. So, yeah. And also others that are designed specifically for the input lag of a CRT, but that's neither here nor there. Though I guess anyone who's tried to play Parappa the Rappa, or any of those old-time games like that, might have a little bit of trouble with input lag on modern televisions, that the inputs aren't timed to the music anymore. But that's neither here nor there. So, here we go. I've got myself a square, and I'm just going to move it roughly over there. Why not? So I'm going to copy, and I'm going to duplicate. So copy is Command C, duplicate is Command D. And now I've got red solid 2. And I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to tab this over to the left. 1, 2, 3. There we go. 3 should be fine. And you know what? While I'm at it, let me just do shift Command Y. Change its color, because I don't want all of them to be red. So I don't know. Let's make this guy... that's a nice cyan. Let's go with cyan. Boom. And copy, which is Command C. Duplicate. And then... shift it over, so shift and left arrow, 1, 2, 3. And you know what? Let me go and Command Y this. Shift Command Y. I will get that correct eventually when I say it enough times. And I'll switch this over to a green. Let's go with that green. Why not? And there we go. So now if we go copy, duplicate, shift over a bit. And let me go and shift Command Y. Hey, I said it right this time. And this time, let's go with, let's go with a nice purple. There we go. Boom. Copy, duplicate, move it over, shift Command Y. And this time, let's go with, let's go with yellow. You can pick whatever colors you want, obviously. Whoops. I did Shift Command D there. What did Shift Command D do? Absolutely nothing. So let me just make sure, copy. This time just simply Command D. 1, 2, 3 over. The shift key will tab things over 10 spaces, I believe, when you use the arrow key with shift instead of just tabbing it over 1 space. So shift command Y, and this time instead of being yellow, let's be, I don't know, what'll go good next to the yellow? Oh, that blue would go next to that yellow really well. Okay, cool. Boom, there we go. Copy, D, 3, shift command Y. And this time let's go with, I don't know, orange? Yeah, orange. Orange always goes good next to blue, because they're opposite sides on a color wheel. Which is why, if you ever look at a movie poster, you'll see a lot of them are blue and orange, because human skin does, in fact, fall generally in an orange spectrum. It doesn't really matter if you're Asian, or you're Hispanic, or you're white, or you're black. Your color generally goes somewhere in an orange spectrum. So that's why all the movie posters have things... Whoops, I did not mean to double-click that. I got too distracted by talking about color theory. So let me go and... Boop-a-doop-a-boop. What do we want here? What do we want? We want a nice... What goes well, get that. Yeah, that'll be fine. There we go. Okay, cyan color 2. Boom. Copy. Duplicate. 2, 3. Change this. You know what, speaking of black, let's just make this black. There we go. Copy. Duplicate. 1, 2, 3. And change the color of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'll need 12 of these guys, so let me just go and, you know what, let me just make a nice, yeah, let's just make a nice deeper purple that time. I like purple. It's my favorite color. And this time, let's go with a pink. Why not pink? There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And because I know that I need 12 for this assignment, or at least for the instructions on this assignment, yeah, 12 colored boxes. Let me go and make myself this last one right over here. What do I want it to be? What do I want it to be? That goes next to... I really don't have a super bright green, do I? Yeah, there we go. There we go. That's a nice assorbent array of colors. Assorbent array? Is assorbent a word? I don't know. I've just made it up. So, anyway, as we can see here, we now have a bunch of different colors here, and a bunch of different stuff. And this is why pre-comps are always nice and handy, because, you know, let's just assume I'm going to want to switch the position of all these guys, so I'll hit P for position. Oh, now I have all this right down here. Yeah, and that's going to be a lot of stuff to mess with and how it goes off the screen, essentially. So your main comp can get very cluttered very quickly. So what I'm going to do eventually is I'm going to put this all in a pre-comp and not have to worry about it. So let's see here. I've shifted it over 60 pixels, shifting arrow keys, repeat that step, boop, 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 boop. Okay, so now we've selected all the things and we've set a keyframe. Now it wants me to do the position. It doesn't tell you to do anything about the pop-in. But if you notice, once this thing loads up again, it does a little pop-in like a bubble effect. So I'm going to add a little bubble effect first to this. So I'm going to go with a scale for all these guys first. And at this scale, I'm going to hit the keyframe, boom. You guys are all going to be instead of doing that, let me just do 0. Instead of that, I forgot we could go into negatives. And then maybe 1, 2 frames over, who knows? Let's see here. I can always just click this little thing right here and see individual frames if I zoom in. And if I scale it out, I can see the entire thing. So I'm just going to see, you know, maybe 2 frames. Let's go 5 frames. Let's just make it 5 frames. We'll just do that. So I'll just do 100. There we go. So now I've got myself an animation of boom, they pop in like that within 5 frames. And once again, there's 30 frames a second, so I'm dealing 5 over 30, which is, I can't do that in my head. I was never good at doing math in my head, So we're just going to say that that's, you know, enough. And I'm just going to bop myself over here, boop, because there we go. They're going to pop into place. And then also, instead of going into scale, I'm going to go with position now. So there's the position keyframe. They stand over there, and then let's see here. How many frames do they want it over? Move it 1 second forward in the timeline. Okay, so I'm going to want 1 second and 5 frames. Now, I could just do this and say, you know, go to a specific time, 1 second, and 0.5 frames. Hit OK. Boom, there we go. There's 1 second. So now I can just go and click these guys. That was not what I wanted to do. Let me undo that. I wanted to position. Let me just do this manually then. Position, move them over there. There we go. So now, if we look at this, because everything here has a scale and a position, they will scale in and then slide. Boop. Boop. Just like that. And that's generally how this animation goes. Now, obviously, if we look at this, once it goes and pops itself in here, you'll notice it does all that, and then afterwards, they slide over. So, they pop in first and then slide over. So, let's go and do that. So, the way we're going to do this, first and foremost, let me just select all of these guys, get those guys out of here, is I'm going to, should I pre-comp it now, put it on a new pre-comp, or should I just do this right now? I'll do it right now. So, I've got all these guys selected, so I've got myself, let me just go and see here. So I've got myself this guy, yeah, that guy's the first guy. So that's the first one, that's the last one, so I'm holding Shift-click. So now I'm selecting that. So from the first to the last, I'm going to right-click this, I'm going to go to Keyframe Assistant, and I'm going to go to Sequence Layers. And I'm going to have, so right now that says 9:15, which means I'm going to offset this in some way. Which means, in theory, if I want to have this be, I have a 5-second boop in with the, I have a 5-frame boop in with the scale that I have, so in theory it's going to take 5 frames each time, and I'll just leave it at 9:15. In theory it wants you to do 9:28 because it wants you to do 2 every second, 2 frames, but I'll leave it at 9:25. Let's just do that, hit OK. Now you'll see that these guys are now offset. So if I play this now, boop, 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 it's now offsetting it. It offset them individually. So, and that's this thing that I can wind up doing. Now, I'm not necessarily too happy with that because it's kind of scrolling them across all individually instead of popping in all at once and then ending. So, let me, also, by the way, if I do this and hit Option and the little square bracket on the left, nope, not Option square bracket, undo. That was Option square bracket, I was just hitting Command. So, Command square bracket will put something above or below another layer. I will do Command square bracket will do the whole shifting layers up and down. Option square bracket will go and put everything at the start of the timeline, even though, as you can see, there's nothing that actually happens to this guy, judging by these little slashes. And Option, the other way, will go and extend it. So if I were to say, want to end everything right here, Option, the other square bracket, and it'll have an ending point. So that's just how that winds up going. So let's take a look at this. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, cool. So let me go in and switch these guys' position here, because I don't actually like these guys' positions. I'm going to highlight all these guys, and I'm going to go to the end of where they pop in, which apparently is right there. And I'm just going to click and drag these guys over, so that now they all pop in first before they slide on over. And there we go. That's that sort of animation. Now, obviously, let me go and select all these guys, and let me right-click, because they're kind of just going, moving, and then stopping. Let me go to... There we go. I have to actually, oops, cancel. I have to actually right-click on the keyframe to get to the keyframe assistant. Let me ease them, okay? So now there'll be a more smooth transition. So they'll speed up and slow down a bit. And while I'm at it, since I have all these guys selected, let me go to the scale here, and let me select all their scales. Let me do the same thing, right-click, let me keyframe assistant, ease. And now if I take a look at this layer, now if I take a look at this animation now, and there they go. It's a little bit smoother. Of course, I can go into the actual, if I go into the scale or the position or whatnot, I can mess around with all this sort of stuff in the actual graph editor. I'm not going to do that just for the sake of time. So that's just how this is going to wind up going. Now then, we've got all this. Let me go in and make a text layer here. So about here, why not? Why not? I will go and add, let me go into text. I'm going to add a text layer. It's apostrophe S because it is printing perfection. And I'm going to line you up with that one on the side. Let me go and switch you. I want you to just be black text. Why not? There we go. I'll just keep. We can mess around with the text and change what size it is, what character type it is, so on and so forth. I'm just going to keep it like this for the sake of the video. But here's all the little character text stuff that you can change. You can change the colors. You can change what type of font it is. All that sort of lovely, fun stuff. And what I'm going to do is there's this thing called link and parent. And if you notice in the columns, boop, 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 you can always have parents and links right there. If you don't see it, you can always right-click and add that column in. Now, there's two ways to do this. I could either use this little piggly-wick thing, the pick whip, and I can go and drag it onto what I want, or I can go and click the layer I want as well. I'm just going to use the pick whip and grab red solid 2. So basically what that means is that this guy is specifically parented to this guy right here. So it only pops up when it pops up. Now, I don't like the fact that it kind of scrolled out from that side like that. So let me go and just go into this guy right here, change its anchor point. Let me change the anchor point to be somewhere in the center of this guy. There we go, which also means I need to switch the position around. And there's the position. There we go. Now it should look like it's rising up and not just rising out of the corner. There we go. Good enough. And it'll move along with it. Just like that. So there we go. We've got that over across here. And we've got all of this right here. And this is a lot of layers that we can, be clicking on and all this sort of other stuff. So let me just go grab all those guys. Let me right-click, go to a pre-composition, and I'm just going to name this my, boxes comp. Why not? I'll name this my boxes comp. And I'll click OK. Boom. So now my boxes comp, I'll grab that, put it in my pre-comps, nice and neat, nice and organized. And now I have one entire layer of just my composition, boom, like that. And it's right there. And if I want to change something about my my boxes, I can just double-click my boxes and change something about it. Here it is. It's right here. But on my main composition, all these different layers, which, by the way, let me lock all of them just to, I don't accidentally click anything and screw something up. Same thing here. Let me lock it over here so I don't screw anything up. But you see, like, I've got it, and there it is. It's just one layer now. Nice and easy, spread out my timeline there. And yes, I've made this a little bit slower than the actual animation in the example, but I'm just showcasing this off. So I'm going to save. Just always remember to save. Command S. And yeah, so this is where we're at thus far. We've gone through animating the boxes, creating the text to animate the boxes. In the next video, I'm going to animate the still image. So I'm going to animate the still image, and I'm going to get the photos together. Okay? So I'm gonna do everything involving the printer. Whoop, 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 beep, 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 beep. So I'm gonna go from animate the still image to group the photos together and that sort of thing. And of course, then the ink splatter will be a different thing as well. So that's how that winds up going. So thank you very much, and I'll see you guys in the next video.